What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rideshare Rodeo. This week, Doordash and Uber Eats tax bailout in Chicago for something that it shouldn't even be bailing out. It'd be a weird one. Uber side hustles for side hustlers, in-app side hustles inside the Uber app. Waymo school bus issue again. And when I say that, I don't mean a second Waymo issue because there's been many. I mean a second school bus one. And this one was in live testing. DoorDash delivering food in Waymos, failure across the board, and GrubHub Student Snooze Insurance that none of you watching will understand. Because if you do, please tell me, because I don't understand it. So right on the other side.
Well, midnight headlight, blindly on a rainy night, steep grade up ahead, slow me down and making no time. Gotta keep on rolling.
Hey. So here's what's up, everybody. Welcome YouTube, welcome Twitter, welcome live audio podcast, and welcome Facebook group. Could not get TikTok done. I think the only way that I can do it is to have my phone. I'm using my computer here, but have my phone be a separate thing that can't tie in with this. There's just no way to do it. I guess I've been told I can check out Restream, but nonetheless, TikTok would have been running today too. Always makes for interesting too when if I can bring those comments in. So the more, the better. This week's shout out, California, East Bay area. So the Berkeley, Oakland posse. What's up, guys? Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for emailing. And yeah, hopefully I've helped a lot of people in those areas. The last person I was just talking to, I give a shout out every week based on, just any email that, I don't know. I just kind of pick one of the week, and it's not necessarily that it was a great thing that was said to me. It could have been a horrible thing. I don't know. And I don't really have a metric to tell you guys how I pull it. I guess it's the email that hits me the hardest. It could be something nice about the show. It could be something horrible about the industry. I don't know. It just takes something. And Oakland, I'm glad that some of the people there and that you've gotten the word out a little bit about the realities of Prop 22. And I appreciate you watching the show. So keep it up. We ain't going nowhere. So I always have a couple stories that I'm ready to roll with on, like, in case I don't fill the time. I always fill the time. And in fact, often, like, especially on Roundtable lately, I forgot, guys, how, like, us taking that break, I think was kind of weird because, or kind of not weird, but it made me forget how to move through the topics quicker because, like, for the last two first roundtables of this season, I've had like 15 topics, and I think we've got through 2 in each week, or maybe a third. So yeah. But as it relates to this podcast, I always have 1 or 2 stories that could be big. I kind of know the estimated time and what they would take, that are extra stories. And then I try and have a really short one. Well, the really short one, I want to mention that today. So the really short one, is this very strange story that I ran across. And look, we've had legal rideshare on. We've had, CEOs from other companies. And we've talked about, like, even like with Bryant and stuff about, hey, what's up with a dog biting you if you're delivering food? Yeah, that's not okay. And that can lead to a huge lawsuit, to be honest. But this is just, I don't even know what to take from this story. So hopefully you guys give me something back, that how you feel on this, because I don't know. So also the places here are very strange. So when I saw it, I was like, wait, what? Because the way it did it in Google didn't put the word street here. So the article title is "Weed Street Dog Bites Uber Eats Driver." So, but the street was missing in the Google title. So it said "Weed Dog Bites Uber Eats Driver." By the way, all of the stories from now on, because it throws off all of the Podbean and Apple Podcasts, and when this gets back out, and even YouTube some, and Facebook, I'm really not sure what it does with what, but the more hyperlinks I put in there, the worse. So it's just going to be, everything is always on the Discord channel. If you want to go to Rideshare Rodeo Discord, do that. That channel's open to everybody, and you can just kind of dig through. There's only a couple of things to look up, boards to look in on there on the server. So, but I'll put everything that I ever talk about. You'll always be able to find on there. So, this Weed Street dog article, a New Canaan dog, so that's the name of the town, underwent a home quarantine this month after biting an Uber Eats driver in the cabs. So the whole story's weird. I got to warn you guys, because all I thought is I'll read this story. It'll be about how this person got bit and they're going to sue or something. And it would be, and it's short, but it's still like 3 times as long as these normally are, because they're normally just bit person. They're probably going to sue, blah, blah, blah. But this one's weird. So at 5:33 on October 1st, few Wednesdays ago, 2.5 weeks ago, the victim, a 40-year-old Stamford man, made an Uber Eats delivery for Susan G at a Weed Street home. That just even sounds weird, even with the street. According to a New Canaan Police Department incident report obtained through public records request. So the man told police that the instructions for the delivery stated that he should ring the bell upon arrival. After ringing the bell several times, it appeared that nobody was home. And a medium size, this is the report that the delivery driver gave to the police department. A medium-sized dog with white fur approached him while barking loudly. The delivery person, this is where I think it gets weird. Maybe you guys will chime in here a little bit. I don't know. But so the delivery driver tried to calm the dog down, and then felt some pressure on his calves. At this time, he realized the dog had bit each calf. I already think that's weird. You're trying to calm down a dog and you feel pressure on your calves, and then you realize you've been bit by the dog you're trying to calm down. Anyway, could just be bad police reporting. I don't know. But then, and then he felt some pressure on his calves. At this time, he realized he had been bit. The delivery driver was wearing long jogging style pants, and the bites did not break the skin, leaving only minor bruising on the right calf, the report said. The following day, Animal Control Officer Sean Goodjohn contacted the dog's owner and found that a 5-year-old female Wheaton Terrier, Harley, resides at the house. According to the incident report, the dog is vaccinated through May. Goodjohn said in his supplemental report. So Harley has been quarantined on property at home through October 11th, meaning it already passed. But this happened on, what was it, October 1st? So the dog was quarantined for 10 days. I don't really appreciate, or I don't really understand how that helps anybody. You know what I mean? What do you mean? So now what? I mean, I'm not saying the dog needs to be put down, but I mean, is the driver suing? First of all, did the driver even get bit? Or was he just kind of I was trying to calm the dog down, then he realized, oh shit, if I kind of add this in here, maybe maybe there'll be a room for, oh yeah, he did bite me because it was just a bruise. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk about this because it does happen. Just none of this story makes sense to me. So if it makes sense to you, let me know. And again, guys, across all platforms, thank you for being here. And next week, hopefully have TikTok added too. And so let's see. Oh, okay. That was it for that story, because that story was just in my head. And when I saw it, I was like, I don't get this. So I have another Waymo story. I talked about it on 13 this week, but we're going to jump ahead because here's a story that we need to discuss. So this came out today. Waymo self-driving taxi under investigation for driving around a school bus. And this one's a big one, guys, because they are so they're going to probe 2,000 Waymos. That's all the Waymos in the country right now. So because I don't know if you remember this, we talked about this a few times, but we had the same issue with Waymo, but it wasn't in live testing, or it was like, they had a school bus that they were using on their grounds testing on one of the testing grounds, which is rare for Waymo, but it did. And it had an incident with a school bus. Well, I don't know what it is, but there's a couple parts to this that I think that you guys will find very interesting, especially the way that at the end that Waymo responds to this, because to me, it doesn't just show lack of empathy and moral compass and all that. It actually let's get to it. So the National Traffic Safety Administration has opened a preliminary investigation into all of the Waymo's self-driving taxis in this country. Because it says 2,000 Waymos. That's the number that we run with. That means all of them. And obviously that's what it would be, since they're all running those same models, current software. So the investigation probe is the result of a report that one of the Waymo taxis may have broken traffic safety laws around a stopped school bus. And it's not may have. Now we can get down to this story. So because this happened in September of 22nd, 2025. And I won't read the whole article, obviously, but again, it's in the Discord. All of these are in the Discord. It's a new thing. So, so it was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was September 22nd. And the reason that the stories come, what is it, October 20th? The reason that, I saw little hints about something about this, but the reason it's coming out now is because they asked for the footage from Waymo. And this is how weird it's getting. Waymo had been going through that, trying to decide what do we need to produce here? This is their scumbaggery department. And I hate to keep using that, but here's where it is. So on the 22nd, the incident occurred. Students were getting off of the bus. The bus had its red lights flashing and both of its stop sign crossing control arms extended. And the taxi involved in the incident was operating Waymo's 5th generation automated driving system, which is their A5 is what is deployed across this country. The car did not have a human driver in it at the time. And that's the difference between the story that we talked about. This same thing, that it has something with the school bus, and talk about anything's bad, but to have something with a school bus is showing us how, not all AI goes in the right direction. You know what I mean? This is not good, because it has an issue with a school bus. That is back to the drawing board for me. That's targeting kids. So what it did was the car, where is it? The car went around, so the vehicle initially came to a stop beside the bus with all of that extended before driving. But then while all the stops are out and stuff, the vehicle drove around the bus, coming up on its side, turned in front of it, and then turned going against the grain of traffic on the other side of the bus, almost outlining it. And thank God nobody was hurt, but it's causing a probe on all of them. And I'm glad. One of the things I'm really glad about with this story is that it shows how little crap, like I said, wait for a few incidents, because they have 7 Waymos in Denver. They have a few in wherever. Those are just for PR stuff. But that's why these kind of things have to happen. But Here's the Waymo spokesperson. And it all sounds pretty normal until the end, because literally, I want to see, but to me, it just sounds like an excuse. Like, really, is Waymo like, man, like here's my thought. You're already on the thinnest device. The fuck you doing? I mean, I'm sorry. So, but a Waymo spokesperson confirmed the company was aware of the investigation. According to spokesperson, the company has already made some software updates to improve the robotaxi's performance and has plans to implement more. Look, first of all, that's going to be the case for their entire history. But by them saying that is saying like, oh yeah, we kind of knew about this little software glitch that might kill school bus children. Like, come on. But then here's the ender. So the spokesperson added that the bus was partially blocking a driveway that the Waymo was exiting. This is what she said for real. The bus was partially blocking a driveway that the Waymo was exiting, and the lights and stop sign were not visible to the taxi's point of view. First of all, bullshit. Because even I'm trying to imagine anything. And unless there was like a 15-foot wall there, but even so, we have the LiDAR, which we humans don't. But it comes out, and if there's a partial block, then the Waymo stops. Isn't that basic concept? If it's a bus, you stop. The LiDAR sees through things. Think of it like X-ray. We know this from past occurrences. That's what it does. It goes through things. So it can see like if there's something in the other lane. So it can see I mean, it's supposed to pick up on the specs of a school bus. And yeah, it's nuts. And the fact that they're putting them all under a probe after one incident is awesome in my eyes, because I think that I think Waymo does need to go back to again. You know me, I know a lot of people just say, "Well, you just hate them." Look, I don't hate them. I hate the fact that they're not ready to be on the roads. That's all I hate about them. Like, look, will they be here one day? I've said it every time, of course. I'm not trying to deny that at all. Yes, they will be. It's just not going to be for a long time. Look at what Derek Khosrowshahi said. And look, Derek Khosrowshahi from 2018, maybe even 2017 is when he came out. 2018 he said in 2019 or in 2018, 2020, no, 2019, that they'd have a good force of robotaxis. But in 2018, he also said by 2020, we will have all robotaxis replacing all drivers. Now, this happened again after the pandemic. They said, well, we can't say 2021, but we'll say 2022. And then 2022 became 23. And then they didn't do one for last year. But then this year he comes out and he says, listen, by 2035, we expect to have 20% of the rideshare fleet in the United States be robotaxis. 20% in 10 years. Now, maybe that is doable. I have no idea. Like that one, I don't think, here's my thing though. I don't think Dara has a clue either. And I don't think anybody at Uber has a clue. And I don't think anybody at Waymo has a clue, because even once like they think it's operational now, they think it should be in cities now, and we can find flaws. I've pointed it out many times, like the default of parts and things like that. I mean, the LiDAR has to be replaced every 3 years at best. If you put one here in Colorado, it'd be every 6 months. So you're going to replace, that's 80 grand alone. These are $500,000 cars. Rideshare drivers do $3 rides and hope on a tip. And so I already know that one of the big pushes to the investors is, listen, once we go robo, no more tipping, period. And around the rest of the world, they'll get away with that because most of the rest of the world doesn't have a tipping culture. So it's really only here they need to conquer it. But look, we're so far out for Dara to finally go, listen, in 10 years, and this was like 2 weeks ago, in 10 years, 20% of rideshare will be autonomous. Okay, so now he's at least in a realm of reality. But even from people I've talked to, and I've been calling them out for years, and people have been saying, no, they're going to be here tomorrow. Okay, well, Dara even just came out and said, at best, 20% of the fleet in 10 years. I know not to believe him. He doesn't know either, but it could happen. He's still lying, but at least he's not saying, hey, it's next year. Shut up. What's up, everybody in the chats? I see you. And yeah, I see well, I can't see who's in a couple of them, but I see all you guys. I'll try and come around to that at some point. But yeah, that's my Waymo bus story. I think it's shit. And then this is crazy. This is what happens when you don't pay attention to the legislation, and they're not even done. Chicago just got screwed. You guys know that I was dealing with John Lopez on the last time he was on, if you remember, we were having a big discussion about the problems facing rideshare and other apps in Illinois, but also specifically in the Chicago area. Well, that already is happening, but now they really threw food delivery into the bus, and I'm not sure how this lands. So it's all but signed. On Friday, they kind of like all the lawmakers and what do they call them there in Chicago? Anyway, there's on Friday they were talking, and they all came to a conclusion that they wanted to go to a vote. If it had voted on that day, it would have passed. So it's definitely going to pass. And it's just weird. Okay, it's just weird. So yeah, like with rideshare, it's even going to be some worse things, and we're going to be talking about other things. But here's the new one. Lawmakers are basically, they're about to this week sign in to approve a statewide delivery tax on DoorDash and Uber Eats to fund Chicago transit. So what this is doing is bailing out Chicago transit because they can't find a way out of this. And this has been part of the issue that they've been bringing to the table a lot. This is just part of it. Then other legislation will come on transparency and Prop 22, or Johnson. They won't get Prop 22, but they're going for this other stuff. So this is where it gets important. You got to be a part of it, because these kind of things makes it so that it'll hurt the drivers, it'll hurt the customers, and it'll even hurt the restaurant partners. So they're going to start off with an initial proposal of $1.50 to $2 per order on every DoorDash and Uber Eats that will go and this is just, there will be other fees too that we're looking at, but this one's almost done. So you guys are going to have $1.50 to a $2 fee on every order to fund the Regional Transportation Authority, which oversees CTA, which is the Chicago Transport Authority, Metra, and PACE. All three of the Chicago transit authorities are way under. And in fact, I want to tell you guys how bad it is in Chicago. So a shortfall is when you don't have enough money to keep it going. You want to be at least level, if not flush, at the end of a year. So RTA, which is the Regional Transport Authority, is facing a $230 million shortfall in 2025. But that's nothing, because that was based on some leveraging that they did, because I don't know why they don't have a 2026 number, but their shortfall in 2027 is predicted to be $790 million. So do the math. $230 million now to $790 million over 2 years. And then it also says, and nearly $890 million by 2028. And so this is due, by the way, this is due to, believe it or not, they are one of the few cities who just right now ran out of their federal COVID aid. Like our state ran out of it years ago. Most states did, or they allocated it to very important things, but they've been allocating it to all kinds of stuff. And Chicago is one of those big cities where they really worried about COVID extra. And so here we go. And their aid is drying up, and they're realizing, This is what happens when your leadership is who it is. Look, I don't care. Again, I always like saying it. I don't care if you're right or left, but damn it, if you live in Chicago and you are about that guy running that state, what the hell, man? People, come on. I mean, if you are one of those people, please, like, you know, look into him more. I think that if you do like him, first of all, I'm shocked because even right, left, like I'm saying, I just don't see why you would like that as a leader. But yeah. So it's obviously it's drawing criticism, luckily, from the right, that says, here's a quote from Senator Seth Lewis, who is a state senator in Illinois. He said, "This has become a bailout for the Chicago CTA. We're giving the mayor more control. We're giving him more than $1 billion in revenue." I mean, a delivery tax wouldn't just affect the people of Chicago region who rely on public transit. It would also hit every Illinoisan who shops online, including those who may never use CTA, Metra, or Pace services. So if you live outside of the Chicago area and the rest of Illinois, like Champaign or Peoria or any of those other towns or rural, whatever, you will still be paying this tax for Chicago Transit Authority, which is the L train and the buses and everything. But their shortfalls are coming near $1 billion, guys. Like in my book, here's my assessment. It says it's a 230 million shortfall in 2025. I'm pretty sure that's just for the books, because if 2 years out from there, which will be right before the elections that will put the next president in. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, at that point, they have it at 790. I think so. Let's call it 500 right now. Let's be real. It's 500 million bucks. But regardless, and then they say by 2028, 890. So this is part of it. This is still won't even come close to solving it, but this is part of it. They're going to start hitting things that are not related and adding taxes to it. So, let's see. He will get better at this multi thing. I might just have to get rid of StreamYard. I know Restream goes to TikTok, so that might be my solution. But okay, so yeah, we got a few more stories. So we got this. This one's good. So Uber starts offering drivers, offering side hustles to drivers to earn extra money in the app. It's in India right now, but it is coming to the United States by the end of this month. So before November, the last 2 months of this year, they will have this. But I want you to hear, we don't have to go through the whole story. This is from Newsweek, by the way. Like, for a lot of the bunk medias out there, Newsweek's been around quite a long time. It does contract its work out. So like these articles come from, sometimes I might reading them. I'm not really on board with that, but if I am, they're usually good written articles. And so this one is, again, it's on the Discord. But so Uber is offering idle drivers in the US the opportunity to earn extra income by completing digital tasks. Wait till you hear this. So this is without having to make trips or deliveries. According to the announcement on October 16th, drivers and couriers who have opted into the pilot program will see these client needs and train AI models. But let's get to the root of it, because I mean, there's a lot here. You guys can go through this for sure. So here's where they are running it in India right now. Here's the person in charge of it over there. His last name is Kansal, and he said Uber was collaborating with AI companies and using its drivers to train and refine AI models. So the tasks for the drivers come in a section called WorkHub of their app, and most of them can be completed from a phone or anywhere. but I want you guys to hear the pay, and this is the pay coming over to America. You're going to might think it's India, and there's also pay that doesn't even make sense. So there's 3 levels of how they pay you. Here's how the Uber says it. Each task takes only a few minutes. Over time, you'll see a wider variety of tasks, giving you more opportunities to earn. So, the example of a document upload task would be from a client that wants to improve its AI in analyzing documents in different languages. So as far as I can tell, you're just uploading something, but why isn't Uber just doing it? This is weird. So here's how much they pay though. This is the good stuff. So when they move the model to the United States, it'll pay you 50 cents for 2 to 3 minutes. But hold on, because that's going to get all screwed up here in a minute. Or $1 for a task taking 1 to 2 minutes. So it's going to pay you. It's going to pay you 50 cents for 2 to 3 minute task, but it might pay you $1 for a 1 to 2 minute task, and a $4 task that takes between 3 and 10 minutes. How weird is this? I mean, I know some of it is like I saw some things in here that they might want you to say a phrase or something, and I think it's to help other languages learn the actual dialect of speaking. But in my book, any of this kind of stuff needs to be worth more money than you're going to get through Uber. I would think that we should all be keeping our eyes out, because if that's something you're interested in, another app will come up and will pay much better for this, because my take on is it's like something that they're not. It's like everything else they do. They're not a technology company. So this probably is a thing. Go find a real tech company doing it. Maybe you get paid a little bit more. I wouldn't do it through Uber. I wouldn't do anything like that through Uber. I don't trust Uber enough to be telling me about these. Like, I don't do Connect. I don't do alcohol delivery. And I ran a bar for many years. I can go get, I don't have a current tip certification because I don't need it. But if I was going to do liquor delivery, I absolutely would go get one. But I've seen the screenshots for the extra $2 to $3 they pay. I have ran and bartended and managed and waited and worked the door at high volume bars for 2 decades plus. And I can tell you that I don't want that responsibility for an extra $2 to $3. There's too many ways around it. Kids can get IDs from their older brothers, older sisters. They play you and somehow one way or another, or the older brother's home from college and he answers the door, gets the beer, they have a party, one dies. It's on you. Like, Uber washes their hands real quick. It's like Uber Connect. Don't be taking packages from people to places that you don't know and sending on their post office. And I mean, that's a federal offense. But anyway, this is coming, and it's coming by the end of the month. My advice is to, as soon as we have the option, just to turn the feature off and not be part of it. But I guess if you really want that money, go for it. I think Uber big brothers us way more. I think everything does, but I feel like Uber has slutted out my information just about enough as it is. So I don't really need that crap. And then another story, and then I'm going to jump into because the Facebook chat, for some reason, I just got a message from somebody who knows. So it's live on Facebook, but the chat isn't working. I don't know why, guys, and I will get it fixed. In the audio podcast, it looks like there's no questions or anything. If you guys have any, please put them up there. And as far as YouTube, I want to say hi to you guys too. So you guys are up next after this one. Maybe I'll, and this goes for anybody on any of the platforms. And I'm not sure I can see X comments either, by the way, guys. I saw somebody else live on X using StreamYard. I had to really dig around, and I have enough skills, like where I'm doing this stuff a lot, to really find how to even make a comment. It used to be a lot easier in a live. So if you're on X watching, and I know that there are some, I can see the count on the totals, but make a comment. I'd love to see it if it would come in here live. So this is this Chicago woman orders Uber Eats while staying in hotel, then driver forcibly hugs her, tries to follow her to the room. Now, all against this, of course. This is horrible. We don't need this in our world. But I need to let you know that where did it come out? On TikTok. What is her TikTok handle name? CEO of Complaining. And complaining, like complain, and then IN. Complaining. CEO of Complaining wrote. Her name is Michelle, and she actually does have she was on a business trip. So the woman was traveling alone for work, thought she would have an easygoing, safe experience when using the Uber Eats app in Atlanta. It started with her delivery instructions. The building she was staying in required key card entry. That meant that she would have to meet her delivery driver downstairs instead of having them drop food by her door. As she went down the elevator, a man stepped in on a different floor. He immediately started asking her questions like, "How are you doing?" How dare he? How dare he ask how she's doing? So this is what she's saying, though. Like, he asked me how I was doing. Mm-hmm. So she ignored him, is what she said. So already, like, this is about him being bad. And as the story reads, it does sound bad, but so far, like, Michelle doesn't sound real cool. Like, how's it going? I'm going to ignore him. Okay. Weird. But, so somehow he was like, I'm trying to make a delivery to Michelle. And this is in the elevator ride. And she said, "That's me. I'm Michelle." Then he came closer to her until he finally hugged her in an elevator at a hotel. Anybody that doesn't know, there's cameras in the elevator, there's cameras in the hallway. So this terrified Michelle, who wasn't expecting her driver to initiate physical contact, when the elevator finally opened, she asked for her food. The driver then asked for a 5-star review in order to pass her food. And the man got agitated that she wouldn't do it in front of him. The standoff. So they had a pseudo standoff, making the encounter all the more uncomfortable. Michelle ended up having to leave her 5-star review in order to get him to give her the food. Eventually, he messed with his phone and confirmed the delivery in the Uber Eats app, handing her the food. He briefly left the elevator based on her description. From there, she clicked the button to go back up. She was going down to meet him. And as the doors were shutting, he opened the doors back up. So the man decided he wanted to go back up. He popped his hand back in the elevator to stop it from closing and came back in. And she confronted him at this point, telling him that he cannot come up with her. He then cornered her for a second time in the elevator. She ended up leaving the elevator and walking to the lobby because he refused to give her space. She then entered another elevator, got back up to the floor. She reported it immediately, and the sum of it all is about 2 weeks later, the company apologized and said they had deactivated the driver. Listen, if he did do something, I'm all for this, but this is the article. You guys, it's on Discord. Rideshare Rodeo Discord. Go check it out. So this is the article, though. Like, I'm going to be honest, because I mean, I think I'm going to speak for all men here that I know anyway. We would all defend a woman at all costs. But what the hell is this? Like, first of all, I almost feel like they might have been vibing a little bit or something. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but maybe just she was reading it a little wrong. But by the way her handle is, what was it again? I'm looking for it again. So what is it? CEO of complaining. Okay, she sounds like a fucking, excuse my language, she sounds like a problem to begin with. So, but then she's complaining. But none of this even sounds real. And so I was looking for if she had asked to, she did ask she called down to the hotel lobby during all this too, after she got a phone with Uber. And she said, can you please call me every hour? This happened. And they said, oh, really? They said that they can't get into the security footage until the end of the weekend. So meaning that the front desk people who work probably at minimum wage or whatever don't have the access to security footage. But so there's no other word about that either. Did the security footage come out? Because I would love to see that. I would love to see that, because like he just in an elevator was like, hey, how's it going? And she turns her shoulder to him. And then he decides, hey, I'm going to hug her. Really? It's just fucking bullshit. I mean, listen, if I'm the judge and the jury, and I'm not doing it based on how she looks either, but she does look kind of like, I saw that Bubba Sue had made another Karen. When I did just see that comment, I haven't been able to watch all the comments, but I did just see that come up as I was saying it. And at the top of the article is her face. And she's got that look. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It does not make any sense to me. I know this happens, but when it happens like in parking lots or in dimly lit subdivisions, or it's not at a hotel where there's 700 cameras. And, I don't know. Like, he didn't force his way into her room. He was in a public elevator. It sounded like she made him feel weird. But if the approaching and hugging is real, I'm just wondering if she was like some freak, like standing by the like where you push your floor, and he came over to push his floor. Literally, this is what I'm thinking. And he's just like, excuse me. And she's like, how dare you try and hug me? Yeah, it wasn't. I was pushing 5. But here, let's see who's in here anyway. So I want to say what's up to those of you in here. I'll have to do the same thing with I'm gonna have to go to Restream. What's up, Instacart person? What's up, Blue Wow Elf? Hey, Traveler. Hey, Kevin Hawthorne. Hey, Bubba Sue. I'm not going through all these comments, by the way. That looks like you guys were having a comment there. Steve Atlanta is trying to find a way to ticket Waymo. Yeah. Yep, they are. I got that. Oh, what's up, Brian? Hey, how's it going? Have it your way. All right. So, and then we got people on Twitter and people on Facebook who can't comment. Audio podcast people. So, audio podcast people, listen, I got 2 more stories to roll through and a little pitch on the petition. And then, so if you guys got any questions, please put them out there. Let's see. So, here we go. So I did talk about this on 13, but we're going to talk about it again because it's so ridiculous. So we'll go through it quick. In 2024, Waymo teamed up with Uber Eats in Phoenix for 2 months. 2 months that program went for. It's kind of like if you guys are familiar, I don't know if you are, but Lyft introduced a feature recently for drivers where you can see how the passenger tips before you accept it. And there were some metrics that kind of the passengers got very pissed about. That's already removed. Like many programs, they're gone in a week. And so DoorDash, though, or Uber Eats and Waymo are two companies that have enough money to run even the deadest program for 10 years if they want. A program like this, they could run it for 10 years just in a couple cities and keep doing it and saying it's coming along. But they ran it for 2 months. So that tells me a bunch of things, because Uber Eats just went back to the robotics. They know it's not the solution. They know it's not long-term. They're just trying to get investors wrapped around, because remember that the earnings reports for Q3 for all of these companies are coming up in the early November. So you're going to have the earnings report of DoorDash acquiring Deliveroo, which was a huge, big take. Like, it'll show as the way they'll do it in their books, it'll show positive, but it'll be a false read. And also they're overvaluating, because they're saying what they paid for the company is its value. Its valuation was about half. So they actually took on a huge loser. But they're doing this now because Uber Eats and Waymo did it. They were doing the delivery robots down in Phoenix too, but they said, okay, well, the cars can get to some places, the robots can't. Great, let's try it. Tried it for 2 months, it failed. So now DoorDash is doing it with Waymo. 500,000. So first of all, we have the Starships, the $30,000 to $40,000 cooler on 4 wheels, not the 6-wheel or not the 6-wheel ones that can maneuver a little bit and whatnot, like the GrubHub ones, but the trash ones, the ones that look like cooler with stroller wheels. So we got those for 30 to 40 grand. We got the dots for coming in at about 110 grand. Remember, it's not as easy as just pay 110 grand either, and you got a dot. You got to build a $2 to $5 million network in each city. And by there, you can, from that size network that we broke down before, you can have 10 to 20 robots. That's not enough to really do all this. But so here's what they're doing instead. So the dots come in at 110. I mean, $110,000 for a red stroller that can hold food and does 20 miles per hour. These things are such crap. But now they're going to use the Waymos. The Waymos are $500,000 vehicles that can't make it doing passengers. But we're going to do the $2 rides. And so I dove in, and it is primarily just Dash Mart at the time, but they are talking about doing other things. So they're trying to do more of the grocery delivery. Another big problem, and even I went to DoorDash's site, I went to Waymo's site, I went to, it's one commonality that I'm glad that, it's very rare that they're all honest, but they are, they're calling it a convenience, and they say part of the convenience and complication of DoorDash doing this with Waymo is getting what you ordered brought to your door. A Waymo delivery might turn some people off. And in some cases, it might not even be at your building. Might have to be a block and a half, 2 blocks away that you go to pick these up. So obviously, these are not the people who order 7 cases of water, because you ain't going to do that. They can't do any stairs. They can't come up. You're going to have to go down for all these. And again, I'm just very concerned how, and I get it in the big picture, the idea is to remove tips. You don't want the tips in there anymore. But the bottom line is that even removing the tips, you still have to pay for the upkeep and each one, and 500 grand for the Waymos and 110,000 for the dots. At no point do you ever recover your money. I mean, they've already got the prices jacked so much. Look at that alone. Look at how much they've jacked the prices, how much the menu items on everything. Somewhere in some of Seattle's restaurants, 200 or 200% of the cost of if you're going to the place to get it, or even 200 and change. It was what was it for the kebabs? $8.75, but it was $19.50, which would be over 200% increase for each item, each kebab you wanted. So they already have to do that. So that's been burning their restaurant partnerships. They passed along the Seattle City Council fee, which was for them. That was a whole $5 just based on Drivers get screwed. And so DoorDash and Uber Eats said, fine, you pay it. And they just gave it to the customers. So that makes the customers pay less because the fees went up, the cost of goods went up. And now they got this other line item that says Seattle City Council fee. So that customers went down. Drivers are down to close to 20% of where they were a year ago in the delivery space in Seattle. Full-time, part-time, doesn't matter. Amount of people coming on the platform is about 20 to 30% year to year as it was a year ago. And I know it's slower. I'm the first one about that. I tell you guys all the time, don't count on delivery to be a thing. You know, even recently when UDM was on, we agreed on the fact that, listen, if anything's going to happen, it's going to be catering. Even small food ordering is moving to the catering apps because it even just has a better ring to it. Catering, we understand food delivery, and the people I see catering, even the non-legal, whatever, like most of the people I see catering seem to care. I know I've heard the pajama stories and stuff from back in the day with Delivered and Emerald, but the bottom line is, man, you are never going to make anything. And I know that a lot of people claim, but it's the testing, it's doing it. They're not trying to make the money yet. Bullshit, man. If you don't think so, like, listen, the game is becoming over with the investors not knowing, because that's why I was talking about earlier, 2018 to 2020, all that stuff that Dara said when he came from Expedia to Uber. If you didn't know, Dara Khosrowshahi was the CEO of Expedia before he came over to Uber, and Travis Kalanick, as much of a player and a little too much fun Travis did have the right idea for the company. I honestly believe that. I honestly think if it was still being run by him, drivers would be better taken care of. Just saying. I'm not saying that his the way like womanizer or anything like that, the way he might act in public is something that I'm behind, but how he treated drivers, even when they were still onboarding, yes, but it was a much better look. But I mean, I don't think these dots, I mean, first of all, we know they're going to be kicked over, destroyed, broke into, and things will just go wrong. I mean, just because it's in Phoenix, don't think that Phoenix doesn't get rain. And when they do, it's like monsoonish. I don't care that these things weigh 350 pounds. People are going to flip them over. People are going to break them open. People are going to, a baby's going to climb into one when that hatch is open because it says it holds 10 pizzas. That's pretty big. And it looks like a stroller. So Waymo, like look at Waymo in Atlanta. Right now they're probing all of the Waymos, including the ones that will be doing these deliveries because of that incident with the school bus. So, okay, so all of this, so Waymo's going to do it. They're going to remove tips and they're going to say, hey, we can do it by Waymo now. So, okay, a $500,000 Waymo is going to do what? Because you can't double the price again to the customers. We've already seen that they've reached that limit, especially in food delivery. Grocery, maybe you can cover it up a little different. Other apps for doing other type work and rideshare, yeah, that still can be even in transparency, that can be a little diluted. But the food delivery thing has gotten so insane that veteran people, who most of the base of food delivery people started using it 2020, 2021, 2022. Still to this day, the big numbers of the people on the platforms, customers, came from that era. And in that era, everything was cheaper. Drivers were paid better because these apps had never taken off before. But now it's twice as much to those customers who even joined in 2022. They're going, dude, it's twice as much. Like, they don't have to say, oh, the fees are more. Oh, the driver delivery fee is more. They don't have to do that. They just know it's twice as much for the same order from the same restaurant. And if they go to the restaurant, they might see that the restaurant upped all of their in-house prices by 10 cents each. But they didn't. But why is their order an additional $50 to get the same items, $50? So people aren't stupid, man. And the restaurant partners are getting hurt big time with these lifts. So, I mean, they've clearly hit the plateau. It's all supply and demand. And that's why I think, with Seattle, if you're down to your 20% drivers, that's because you made the minimum wage what is it, $24.31 for the gig workers on active time, which again is just a trick and should have never been done. But I think that one of the biggest clues about Waymo was Dara a couple of weeks ago. And again, he's probably not right, but he's definitely in a more realistic spectrum than driverless next year, like he did for many years. For many years, he lied to the investors big time, but they're on to that. But they also know, and they want greater detail on, can drivers make a living wage since autonomous isn't anytime close? Because by anytime close, I mean, Derek coming out 2 weeks ago and giving the first time ever, not in the next year or every time he says something since 2018 about this, it's in the next year or two, all drivers will be autonomous. For him to come out 2 weeks ago and finally say, by 2035, 20% of rideshare vehicles in the United States will be autonomous. That's 10 years from now. That not only did it make everything, obviously he had said a lie, which if you want to get into it, all of the top Fortune 500 companies all kind of have scumbaggery into them. All of the CEOs probably have some history where you're like, shady dude. But he's lied hard from the beginning. And especially about the technology part of Uber, because every time it's important for them not to be a tech company, he's the first one to, he just kind of steps out of the limelight. Whenever you see Derek come up for PR and stuff, always look, he's never talking about drivers or payments, or he's the one that appears, and he's the CEO. He should be there on the daily, but he only appears when they're bringing out fake tech, or they're buying a company at the end of a quarter, or they're doing this or that, or a merger that's going to help them have a good end of quarter, and then they'll sell it right after. So they do all these everything is just done so crazy that it's almost like the money they actually do make is all false, and it's just kind of on paper temporarily, because in the reality, the money they make are just on these shady deals of selling things back and forth. Like I can tell you, they bought the autonomous company in Russia, Yandex. It's a autonomous vehicle company. Uber bought it twice, and both times after they were done buying it, they sold it back to the same company in Russia. Now, those are the kind of books we can't get into. Those just end up in the quarterly reports. But I think we're all not stupid enough to think, hey man, why did you buy that and then 4 months later sell it back to them? Why weren't they closed and moving on? And oh wait, we'll buy it back. Oh yeah, we'll sell it back. Yeah, Travelers got it. It's cooking the books. We're just, that's why I said too, listen, and in fact, are we there? If we're not there, maybe we could be there at least for a minute. I think we are though. Yeah, I got to plug this today. So you guys, we have the change.org thing. Let me see if I got the, hopefully I put the link in here, because everybody needs to sign this, because over the next few weeks, number one, we're going to be dealing with New Jersey, because New Jersey, let me copy this over. New Jersey needs to, it's very important that New Jersey wins its, that it goes a certain direction in this election. And because it's very extreme. One way is independent contractors are toast, and the other way is people are allowed to earn a living wage legally, however they want, as it should be. It's that dramatic. And this is where I tell a lot of people lately, because it's not a political podcast, but sometimes we touch on the fringes. Absolutely. I don't go left, right when I'm talking about my comments, but what I will say here is, if in 2025, you're not voting with your pocketbook, then you are a multimillionaire and you're not watching this podcast, and you have nothing to do with rideshare or any gig work. Because if you are a gig worker, you need to vote with your pocketbook. I'm not saying right, left, because it can vary. But right there, and I'm going to pin it to the, I can't pin it to the top. Well, that is the, and for the audio podcast listeners, you guys have it. I don't know if it came up on Facebook. I'm losing my faith in you. And it's not you people listening, but I just, don't get me started. Most of you know. And if you know, you know. But I do want to talk about that. So please take the time to go sign that. Here, let me put it in. Okay, so there, I was able to pin it in that one. So yeah, add your name to that. Just read it. It's very short. If you agree with it, just add your name to it. That's it. Name and email, and it will help huge, guys. The numbers are still under 200, but I'm telling you, over 150 is more than the 5 or 10 or 15 that walk in a given state and say they want to be unionized. And it helps me when I'm talking to lawmakers and other things as such, and with people who work with a lot of this lawmaking, like some of the John Lopez's, Kim Cavins and stuff, who are advocating and fighting every day. It helps me give them a better landscape of the gig app economy, because as well as I'm on the, I'm on the gig traditional side too, doing production work and stuff like that. That's kind of where all of them and me connect, because I understand what they're doing. But this is all new to them too, just like it is to us. So they get a lot of their cues from me. So we want, just sign it. It helps me. That's step one. And then we're trying to do things in other states and help everybody. But yeah, I think that's about it for the episode. And I'm just trying to think if I had anything else. I've been working a lot. I'm sure everybody else has too. I was talking to who was I talking to? Somebody said to me, like, hey man, I'm earning more this year in the last 2 months than I did last year. And I was like, working the same hours? And they're like, no, more hours, but making more. I was like, well, then you're not making more, man. I mean, you're putting more money away, but you're killing yourself a little more. Not killing yourself. You're grinding harder for a little more. Where if you put in the same, I guess my question is, if you put in the same amount of hours as last time, would you be making as much as last year? And that's where I think it'd be no. But he's making more and working more, so that could be a bigger lead. But I don't think any of us should invest in burnout. It happens. I do it from time to time too. We all get down to that point. And then we have, we just have to take a day or two off. Some people don't, and they wait until they crash. That's horrible. But, and I didn't mean crash car. I meant like until they crash, they just can't do it anymore. But the bottom line is that, like we all are out there doing our grind, but you got to know the windows. And if you don't have ways to fill those dead points, then get off the road, just, even if it's go to a park and sit on a bench and get some sun, take a walk. You don't have to go for a hike, but take a walk, do anything. But know a 3-hour block, you can go home and try and get some at work home, from work, online type stuff. There's lots of it out there. And so I just think everybody needs to really start thinking bigger. One thing for sure, this pay is never going to go back up. But like I've done here, I think that if we can get you other states to transparency, and at least, or if we can make it more known here so that even the company sees it as a win, because these robots are far away. It's trying to keep all these timelines together to realize, because if all the robot stuff was real, well, we'd be done and they would just be moving on to that. But even if it was real and they weren't under federal investigation now for this bus thing and already under everybody's microscope, and they can't they self-insure and all that. But even if they were beyond that, we're nowhere near them bringing down the cost by even 10%, 5%. They've got the costs on these things as little as you can at this point. So trust me, like everything, they're not buying the best LiDAR. I mean, it's probably up there, but it's because it's mass produced, they get a break. But I guarantee you there's a LiDAR company out there better than the one that a Waymo puts on their car. I guarantee it. I mean, I can tell you, and if you're going, no, that's bullshit. I can tell you for sure I know that, because fishing boats have better LiDARs than these by about 10 times, though. They would never be able to afford to put these on to non-commercial fleets and stuff, of especially rideshare or delivery, even worse, like $2 deliveries in a Waymo. Come on, guys. I don't know. here's my bottom line. Here's my summary. Here's my Springer's thoughts for the week. For those of you that know, is that, yeah, the companies, AI and the companies and robo taxis and robo delivery, yes, eventually it is coming for your job. Most of you will be dead when it is ready to take your job. Not dead. But anyway, I'm just saying it, and I'm not kicking it down the road as well. That's the problem with the future generation, because it will be. However, there will be ways that the new generation wouldn't even want to do that. And it will just kind of work as it moves. But what people really need to worry about is white collar jobs going away and people coming onto the platforms to work now, right as they're fixing the illegal problems in a lot of spots. They're going to, the white collar workers, I was just reading about, because of the government shutdown, that there's a bunch of FAA traffic or air traffic controllers who are starting to enter the gig market. That's not good. First of all, that's not good on many levels. Those guys make a lot of money. They're under a ton of stress. A lot of them have heart attacks or die at young ages. No joke. You guys can look this up. It's a very stressful job. But they've been working, but they're not getting paid with the government shutdown. And we're on day 21? I mean, at this point, it's not about trying to be responsible and knowing that you'll get paid for your back pay. It's, I got to put groceries in the damn fridge, man. So they're on DoorDash now. So sadly, I think when you hear things about DoorDash that are like, the robots are going to take your jobs, I would say to you, do what you normally do, grind how you normally grind. And if you have other means of income, bring them in. I always say that. But if you're going to stick around in the gig economy, don't worry about the damn robots. Worry about the people that will be coming from white collar jobs and the ones that will be coming from government shutdowns, current, later, whatever, all the things, because we're seeing a lot of diminished jobs due to AI already. And the projection for 2020 up to 2027 looks horrible. We on the roundtable last week, we had a quick little discussion about what is it called? Monetary living, like international, like everybody gets money just to live. And I've always been a person who just can't go down that rabbit hole because it can't happen. It won't happen. But you can't just kick everybody out of their job and not have any work for them and not expect an uprising. I mean, at the lowest points are like 6% unemployment, 7% unemployment. I saw some stuff on Alive where it was like they were taking the complexity of what if 20 to 25% were unemployed, and it showed how the economy would crash. So, and theft goes up and all the things that you would think. So with that, don't worry about the robots. Yes, they are working on that. But I almost feel like that's like always with these companies, the smoke and mirrors. The smoke and mirrors here is the autonomous. Oh, you guys are going to be taken over by these? Really? Because I think that AI model over there is going to end every white collar job at every office and every person that works at a desk. And they're going to be driving delivery and any new spaces of work that come up in an app-based gig society. And so, and whatever future things might come to, because of course, the challenge to that is, listen, if when AI comes around, it will create a whole wealth and a plethora of jobs. Okay, I'm a good speculator, but I haven't seen any of the people saying that. I haven't seen any of their ideas. I don't know what they're thinking. Like, okay, well, give me an idea. It's not always the best, but give me an idea. What are you thinking will come out? And this round, it's like almost like nothing. Like, we'll have to see, okay, so really nothing. Because if you look into the way AI works, it ain't happening. Universal income. But I don't believe in universal income. That is just not because again, you're talking about the wealthiest needing to give up their money to support the world. And that's what has been happening since the beginning of time, is the wealthiest do everything they can to keep their money theirs and not give any to you. So universal income would be, hey, all you wealthy people have to give up all your money. No, that's everything they've been fighting against. So I'm not sure what the answer is, guys, but we'll go week by week here. Thank you on all platforms, and we will see you on Thursday for the roundtable. Join us. Peace, y'all.
I gotta keep it rolling.